This week, on the weekend, I did an after party after the Scotch Test Dummies, and it was kind of a special after party because I was the mystery guest on the Scotch Test Dummies. And that was a bit of a shocker because I thought that they were going to, if they have a guest, they would prime them and tell them exactly to tell the guest exactly what to do and how to do it and so on. But with me, they just invited me and said, "Here, do it," you know. And yeah, I'm wearing this shirt still or again. I know Bart commented on it, saying that he likes it, and I didn't have a chance to mention to say, well, thanks for appreciating it. It's about, I don't know if you can see, it's Jasper. I got this when I went to Jasper, I guess National Park a few years ago, and it's a bear with a Walkman kind of. There's the bear, there's the Walkman thing, and there's the headphones right there, and it says "in tune with nature" or something like that. So that's my little bear shirt, and explain that. Thanks for appreciating it, Bart. Now I've got something else that's happening. Is that when I did the after party, I kind of did it for a friend of mine who goes. We call him Pinto because it's easier and shorter to say than Jackass whiskey and Pinto beans. So we'll just call him Pinto for short. And he said that he wasn't able to watch the live stream that I was doing, which was the after party. So he went and watched it afterwards when it wasn't live anymore, and he made a bunch of comments like he always does on a live one. He'll put a whole bunch of comments on there, and this time he did it again, but he did it. He put on the comments to the recorded live party, and he put so many comments on there that I looked at that and said, do I want to do all that typing with the sticky keys that I have on my keyboard? And I thought, no, I'm just gonna answer his comments live, as I would have done if you were live on the show. So, where are his comments? I know I've got them somewhere. Here we are. Okay, so 16, 17. Okay, I guess the earlier ones are at the bottom. So he says, initially, for some reason, I couldn't view the live stream yesterday. And I said, I remember seeing you comment a couple of times and was trying to tell you to scroll to the right, but you couldn't hear me. I don't know what kind of glitch was happening. YouTube can just be playing weird sometimes. Too bad your viewing didn't work out because I did all the blending and staving. And he's the one who got me started on blending, and he's the one who sent me the staves. So I kind of feel almost guilty that this didn't work out. I noticed that once or twice on the Scotch Test Dummies, I was not at the leading edge of what was going on live. I was seeing what had occurred a little earlier, and I remember having to scroll to the right, and if I scrolled to the right to the very end, then I could see what was happening at the moment. And he says in a response to that, use the pine to label your blends. One side is easier to write on because of the grain. And I go, oh, thanks for telling me. I removed the pine from the shine because I had some moonshine and I was putting staves in there. His staves to give it some flavor or more flavor. And the moonshine is actually quite nice. And he says, you should get a couple of plastic funnels. Yes, I should, but I didn't anticipate doing this kind of thing, and I really didn't think of it when I was out shopping. I didn't realize. It's not too bad pouring bottle to bottle, but pouring from a jar to a bottle can be tricky. I did lose a bit on the table here. And yes, that's right, I should. And he says, the rectangle pieces of wood are tags you can use with the string to identify your blends. You can write on them, they're just pine. The staves are cherry, birch, and oak. Okay. So I found the cherry and the birch and oak. One large stave is oak. Okay, that one I don't think I've used that on anything yet. That's oak. And we'll get to the rest of the story on that. And I believe this one here is a cherry. But what he did was well, I'll get to the rest of the comments because he explains everything in here. The man is methodical and thorough. Let me tell you. All the staves were baked at 200 degrees for 2 to 3 hours after being soaked in port, then charred them with a blowtorch. It's amazing how much liquid wood can absorb. Yes, it is, and you went through a lot of trouble for me. I appreciate that. And he says, the oak is from wood shop scraps. The birch and cherry are from my yard. And then he says, I live in zone 4 and planted some sweet cherry trees. Most didn't do well and died. A few are hanging on. Rum cherry, on the other hand, thrives here. Can't remember which cherry I sent you. You wouldn't think birch would be good for staves, but Ralphie's vid changed my mind. If you use the birch with the bark, you will get an odd but not unpleasant chalkiness. Experiment. Well, I put that in. I put the birch in with some oak and with some cherry, so that should really be interesting. There is a Ralphie vid on staves. It's in the States. The bark can be used as filter. Okay. In it he states, okay, that the bark can be used as a filter. Well, I think I may have watched that, but I didn't pay it much attention because I was still kind of a purist and pouring things directly from the bottle to the glass, and that was that. And I mentioned Erich von Stroheim, or somebody mentioned Erich von Stroheim, and I went, huh? Who's that? Well, he says here, Erich von Stroheim is the man you love to hate. I went to Wikipedia and I read the story on him. Basically, I think someone was alluding to how I was doing long videos and how this man made a movie. Erich von Stroheim was a film director back in the early 1900s, in the early 20th century. And he apparently made a movie in the 1930s called Greed, and to screen the whole thing it would take 10 hours. And it subsequently got edited down to the point where he wouldn't want to claim anything to do with it anymore because they made it down to about an hour and a half. And everything was thrown out on the cutting room floor, so his masterpiece was chopped to death. But you know, I guess you'd have to have some real fortitude to sit through 10 hours of movie. That's a lot of work. Huh. And now, after figuring out who Erich von Stroheim was, it says here, I wish I could have watched this live. Yes, Pinto, I know you wish you could have. I wish you could have watched it too, so I could have answered these comments while we were live, but I'm doing the live part and just reading your comments that were made, 16 or 17 hours ago. The only thing I saw were those circular circles. I tried everything. Restarting my computer, disabled ActiveX, just couldn't view you live. Was able to comment, that's it. Strange. Very, very strange. Do not use the pine rectangles for staves. Okay, I took them out. And here he has a Ralphie video. Okay, I think that's the Ralphie video about staves. It's a HTTP, www, YouTube, whatever. It's a URL, basically. And for some reason, that URL was put in the spam folder. And I had to approve it to put it on here. And here he says, I went to Total Wine today and they had Macallan malts, Macallan minis. The minis have corks. Now that's class. So Macallan has minis with corks. I can't get minis here beyond maybe, Jack Daniels and Canadian Club. I think that's all they got. I don't really look at minis. You can't really experience a whiskey on one mini. Okay. And we were talking about music too when I went through my recently played iTunes. And he says he's been entranced lately by Roxy Music. Yeah, I used to listen to a lot of Roxy Music. In fact, I have everything that they've ever done. And it's good stuff. My particular favorite albums are Country Life and Avalon. Avalon, I like Avalon a lot. And he says, if you like Enrico Morricone, you should really watch Bird with the Crystal Plumage, an Italian giallo directed by Argento. There is J&B placement throughout. Yeah, I think I'm going to download that. Bird with the Crystal Plumage, eh? Okay, let's work on that for a second here. I know I have the soundtrack somewhere already, but I have not. I want to see the movie as well. Okay. Now where was I? We were on the Bird with the Crystal Plumage. And just the last one, he's saying, just to blow your mind, the bottle you have, Elijah Craig 12, is the first iteration. Bottles at EC I was able to get had the 12-year statement on the back label, not front. So your bottle is the oldest 12-year. Well, first time I bought Elijah Craig 12-year-old was in 1994, and it had the 12 on the front. And I bought that one down in Memphis, Tennessee. And then they had the fire in the late 90s. I think it was 1996 or 7. They had a fire which completely destroyed their setup. And they had to rebuild and start again. And since then, I've had a number of Elijah Craig bottles. All had the 12 on the front of the label. In fact, the only ones I can get are the ones with the 12 on the front. The 12 on the back of the label was a thing that they started just a few years ago, or a couple of years ago, and that's the first time I heard of that. I've never seen that in stores here. I keep seeing the one with the 12 on the front. And then there's the new one, which is called Small Batch, I think. And I've seen that in stores here already, or I've seen it in one store here already. And that's the one without any age statement at all. So what I want to do is I want to try the one that I have with the new one that has no age statement and see what the similarities and differences are. I have a brand new bottle of the 12, and I'm going to get a brand new bottle of the small batch and open them, uncork them both at the same time and try them. And then I'm going to let them go for a while, and after a few months of, tasting every now and then, I'll do a repeat of that, and that's what I'd like to do with the Elijah Craig. So when did you get that one there, Pinto? When did you get that bottle with the 12 on the back of the label, or on the back label? Because I don't think that was being produced for all that long. I don't know how long we've had it here and how long these bottles have been in the case or on the shelf. I remember seeing them, years ago, about 3 years ago maybe. Before that, we couldn't get that stuff here at all. It's amazing how much more bourbons and American whiskeys we can get here now than we used to be able to get. Anyways, I'm going to have my breakfast now, and I'm going to put this video up so that you can put more comments on it.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food Quig.
Food quick.
Yeah.